Pugh. That'll do it! That will do it! Pugh for Bournemouth! The roof of the Gold Sands is raised! Everyone here knows what that could mean to this football.
Good afternoon, Bournemouth fans. Well, Bournemouth looked very leggy today against a determined and very well-drilled Hatters side at Kenilworth Road this afternoon. It was 0-0 during the game. I don't think there was anything to suggest that the stalemate was going to be broken. And with the team looking a little bit worn, the game ended in a draw. I thought it was quite poor to watch, and the lack of composure in the final third, well, that was all too prevalent throughout the game. We got into good positions, but in that final third, our touch was bad. We slowed up play, and ultimately we had one memorable shot on goal, I think, and that was on target. That was the Stanislas shot for the free kick. That there may have been others, I can't remember, but it wasn't a great watch. And, you know, Luton, they didn't pose much of a threat either. Probably their best chance, aside from that shot that Begovic saved in the first half, was the one that Jack Simpson skied over the bar in the last minute to deny them. Bloody awful game. Norwich have pulled away from us, and we have kept our spot in second. Swansea are now the team below us, just 2 points below us. And we go into Christmas still in the automatic promotion positions. If you want to get involved today, then you can do so. At the bottom of the screen, you can see the link that you can click. It's afcbpodcast.com/take part. We anticipate this is going to probably be a shorter show today, given the fact that the amount of talking points were slim to minimal. But the first person to come in is Morgan Scott, and we've got him for you right now. Morgan, how are you? Surprised you're not asleep.
It's a bit, that game wasn't great, was it? You know, we had the government update that's cancelled Christmas as well. So, in all, a bit of a depressing afternoon. I thought from Bournemouth looked very, very tired today, and obviously you can't make that excuse. They're not the only side. It's we know the Championship by now. Every few days you're playing football, and I hate to say it, but we weren't good today. There was a 5-word match report. I want my money back. That's not a bad, to be fair, that's not a bad analysis. But on a positive note, that's our fifth clean sheet in a row. And that's, I put on Twitter yesterday, it was the fourth. We kept four in a row since the first time since 2014. So that in all round, that is a positive. That's our fifth clean sheet. But you don't win football matches by keeping a clean sheet. It's a step in the right direction, but we should be winning at Luton if we want to be going back to the Premier League quite comfortably. And with Norwich winning today, it's going to make the new year even Boxing Day even harder.
The Championship, I've got to say, is a weird old league, Morgan. This was a team we played today that dispatched of Norwich City easily, 3-1. And then there are games that, you know, Norwich will have drawn that we'll have lost. There are games that they'll win that we'll have drawn. It's everyone seems to be beating each other, and there's quite a random nature to it. So I'm quite pleased that we didn't let Luton score and we kept a clean sheet, and ultimately we got a point. But it's one of those fixtures where I feel as though changes need to be made. And when I saw that team sheet at 2:00 and saw that it was unchanged, I was quite surprised. Players surely have got to be leggy and tired, but he went with the same 11 again.
He did, and I was looking at a few players. David Brooks, my favourite AFC Bournemouth player. I haven't not said that on the show before, but I thought he might get rotated. He looked very leggy and quite poor. He gave the ball away 3 out of 5 times. I think Chris Temple said in the first half. Philip Billen, when do you see him start? I think that was his third or fourth game in a row starting. Sam, I'm not quite sure, but there needed some to be some changes. Maybe Solanke rest him. I think him and Begovic are the only two that have started all season without being rested much. It was promising when I saw Surridge came on. I thought that could have made the impact, but it didn't prove in our favour today. But in a game of football, you got to be on it from minute one. And I think Luton were very, very good at what they were doing today. I think they were playing they didn't want to do anything too silly. And I think they're becoming away the happier side, absolutely, in that very, very awkward, weird stadium. You know, going into the away end, if we were going there today, through the back of people's garden or whatever.
Bloody love that ground. It's one of my favourites just because of that. The away end, just you go through these terraced houses, basically. It comes out of nowhere, and then you're walking through back gardens to go into the back of the stand. And I'm sure that we'd have made a lot of noise. As it was, Luton fans couldn't be there on this occasion, and they were pumping crowd noises through the speakers, which was a little bit different.
Yeah.
But it was kind of that white noise. It didn't seem to really G up the Luton players and didn't really seem to affect us. But tell you what, you know, I mentioned Leggy and worn and tired. One of the players that I think probably had one of his poorer games for us, given the amount of games he's played in a row now, David Brooks, especially after coming back from injury. What's that, 11 or 12 in a row?
11 in a row.
In the final third especially, his touch left a lot to be desired.
Yeah, he wasn't on. I think a lot of people put on Twitter that throughout the game that he didn't look his informed David Brooks, and today he looked very, very poor from what we've seen in the last few games of David Brooks. But I'm sure he'll bounce back. You know, he's always going to want to move on eventually and stuff. So I'm sure him putting a good performance in our next game against Millwall, and I'm sure it's just fatigued and tiredness, lots of travel, and there's been, you know, with the fixtures this season have been ridiculous with the internationals and the extra friendlies, and it's a very, everyone's human at the end of the day, and you know, you can only give so much as a human being, and but I'm sure he'll bounce back, Sam. But one player that we haven't mentioned so far is Asmir Begovic, again pulling off a well-class save, and he's keeping us in games. That could have that at that point in the game, I think, I can't remember. It wasn't a great game to remember, and I don't really want to remember it for all the wrong reasons. But that Asmir Begovic shape, was it in the first half?
Yeah, it was in the first half, and it was a great curled shot from the sort of right apex of the penalty box, and it was always going in that direction, so it's fairly easy to read. But even still, he had to stretch, he had to get a strong right hand on it, and when he did, he managed to get it away from the action. And you know, when called upon, it shows that he was up to the task. It was one of those matches where it was easy for certain players to fall asleep, I'm sure, because you know the game was being played a lot in the middle sort of middle third of the pitch, you could call it, and I thought it was kind of really scrappy, lack of quality all round, and there was just absolutely no fluidity at all. I thought that Bournemouth were very good at breaking out of defence, but when the ball reached that final third, we seemed to hold it up, we seemed to track back, we were slow in possession. Our zippy passes that we had in the first two thirds as we traversed up the pitch, it seemed to just not happen in the final third. And in that time, when you're holding up the ball, it means that Luton, they're managing to get their players back, and they were so well drilled. And you look at them, they had their banks of defenders. At one stage, it looked like they had like a row of six at the back almost. Yeah, you know, they're a very good side, and I don't think they're in danger of the drop this year whatsoever. But it's a shame we have to do that. And you know what, Morgan? There was one player that I would have cried out to have on that pitch today, and that was Dan Juma. Someone to offer a bit of unpredictability, a bit of reckless attacking. Just, you know, go forward, all guns blazing. Don't keep cutting back. But he would have just gone for it. And yeah, you know what? We could have done with a player like that today, couldn't we?
Creativity was very, very poor. Shout out to Lewis Cook as always. I thought he was. I'm trying to think of like who was actually like decent for us today. If that, because it's very, very tricky on that analysis. I'm sure Gary Neville will pick the pieces out of it. But the Lewis Cook was winning headers. He looked very, very good in that holding role in front of the back four. Again, very, very important to AFC Bournemouth. But actually, say Sam. Dan Juma would have done something if he was fit. No Josh Kin again. Apparently he's hurt his back. So, you know, the list of excuses go on. But anyway, we can save that one for another day. And in all, that game was pretty... there's not a lot to take out of it, which is very disappointing before Christmas. But I'm sure we'll bounce back, and we never give up faith, do we? So...
No, and as Rob, you said then, look, you know, the lads are you know, like are obviously worn. You know, give them a break. Rob said, well, why didn't JT do that today? Never mind. Here's Kirk Tovey, who's going to give his analysis. If you want to follow him, it's at AFCB Gary Neville on Twitter. Kirk, how are you?
How you doing, Sam? You all right? How you doing, Morgan?
Hi, mate.
You're in a new location, new home. How did your house move go this week, Kurt?
Yeah, we're getting there. We should be all settled in by Christmas. So, yeah, it's been a busy week.
Good man. I can see the new backdrop in time. I'm sure it's going to be painted red and black. AFC Bournemouth scarf, Dom Solanke shirts hanging. Thoughts on that today, mate? Because I'm struggling to take much from it.
Yeah, unbeaten in five clean sheets, uninspiring from doing the basics, really. I thought we were poor in possession, quite slow with the ball, tempo. It almost felt a little bit like Sheffield Wednesday again. You know, we got into bad habits where Steve Cook was aimlessly kicking these long balls from the back. And, you know, players like Brooks were struggling to just do 1-2s and triangles. Yeah, it was just not great. I felt like we needed two up top today. I said that before the game, and it sort of played out like that. And I think we've had 3 or 4 good games out of Billing, which is the best spell we've ever had with Billing. And I felt it was a good time to rest him, give him some minutes off the pitch, and then get him back in. But yeah, I couldn't understand why we went with the same team when we struggled for large spells against Wycombe.
What do you think went wrong in that first half, Kirk? And what, if you were JT, what would you have said to change it, or what changes in terms of personnel would you have made? Because I know that obviously after about 55 minutes, he brought on Rico and Sam Surridge. But, you know, do you think that almost needed to happen earlier?
Yeah, I think we should have started with 2 up top. I don't think it was necessary to play 3 centre midfielders in there today. And Wycombe pretty much nullified that for us on Tuesday. So I thought, you know, there's a pattern appearing here, I think, is that we seem to change a formation. We bring different personnel in and then it works. And then after 3 or 4 games, we seem to get found out and then we struggle to break teams down. And there's obvious reasons why we're struggling to break teams down once teams work us out and managers work us out. And I felt like we were going down that road again. We battered Huddersfield. We then struggled against Wycombe, and I thought, right, okay, change it up again. Let's go 2 up top. You know, 100% record with Dom Solanke and Sam Surridge up top away from home. So I don't quite understand why he didn't persist with it after Barnsley. But he got, you know, okay, you could stand up and say, well, we did well against Huddersfield, so that's why. But I think that the 2 up top for me is he's got to fit a formation that works around that, and I think that's where his problem lies.
What we're going to do is ask Dom for his opinion, who's just come on as well. Dom, how are you, buddy?
Yeah, good, thanks. You?
Yeah, nice to see you this time. 0-0, not the most enjoyable game, was it?
Yeah, pretty uninspiring, to be honest. No creativity at all on the pitch today. It was just a lacklustre performance, I think, from both sides. However, I think Luton had the better game, all honesty. I just think for a team that are really challenged to go out to the Prem, should we be beating these sort of sides that are going a little bit down lower in the table? But it was a hard one to go with today. So not happy with the draw, would have preferred a win, but who wouldn't?
But then you could say that, you know, Norwich should be beating teams like that as well, and they got beaten 3-1 at Kenilworth Road. So maybe we're perhaps doing Luton a bit of a disservice. But today I didn't see much from them that posed that much of a threat, and it felt like it was, you know, we were the creators of our own undoing today.
Yeah, I think for Luton, what they did well, their defence, like you said, they were playing a 6 at the back at sometimes, as in they were so defensive. But if you actually look at the stats, they had more shots on target than us. We had a lot of shots, but our shooting wasn't as clinical as it has been. So I think that's where we really had a downfall today. I think we had about 16, 17 shots and only 2 of them were on target. So the shooting wasn't as clinical as, say, a Huddersfield game where 5 goals, you know, that's your dream. But yeah, I don't know. It was a tough one to really go with today. I can't really get into it as much as I could the Wycombe game, but it's a tough one. Yeah.
No, certainly agree. Now, if you want to take part, you can do so. It's afcbpodcast.com/take part. That's the link at the bottom of the screen. There's space if you want to come on right now. I don't think it will be an extended show today because certainly in terms of talking points, there's not many. What we have got, though, is a load of 5-word match reports that have come in. So I'm just going to briefly go through them now because I usually forget to do them. And these are 5-word match reports then from Cherries fans. Alex, who's watching this live, Sam Surridge surely starts Saturday. Slightly bored, have seen better, said Heather. 1.1 at least. James said evenly matched or not clinical, posing a question there. Kirk, who's obviously on with us now, says, yeah, basic passing and crossing uninspiring. Where was Junior's fight tonight? Yeah, he showed it literally on Tuesday night. Need fresher legs and tactical ideas, said Mark. Begovic has safer hands than Boris. At least we tried, said Daniel. That's 4. Would rather have been asleep. Ian, Ricardo, glad I missed watching that. Shiv, clean sheet, very dirty kit. Begovic, man of the match. Very happy with a point, said Andy. So, there is a mix of opinion there. And I've got a feeling that it's just one of those games, Kirk, that I'm, just one of those meh matches that I can't really seem to take much from, either positive or negative, really.
No, and the 8th draw in the season, and I said back when we started to pick up these unnecessary draws, or some might see him as a good away draw, but I think we should be winning football matches like this. I hope this doesn't come back to bite us at the end, that we end up in the playoffs, because I think if we just switch that formation up slightly, it's easy to say that we could have won the game if we had gone with 2 up top in a formation, but we'll never really know. But I think we had a little bit more tempo and a little bit more about us when Surridge came on, and even with Dom, instead of him having everything back to goal, in the end he was turning and looking for Surridge, and Surridge got offside when he tried to play him through. We're just going to be more of a threat, I think, with those 2 playing together. And as I said, 100% record playing together, and when the 2 teams that they have started against, we battered them. So I think that is the way forward.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, sorry, I just saw Lerma's shot just go over my head there. My goodness, what the hell was that, Morgan? He's a player that either produces a worldie or it goes miles wide. But yeah, we had isolated efforts, didn't we? And we just didn't have that attacking spark, and it seemed to be limited to these kind of shots that are either blocked from outside the box or half-hearted efforts that the Luton defenders got in the way. It was just such a frustrating game, and it's weird. Like, there are some matches that are 0-0 throughout, but I always feel as though there's a chance, and you feel that chance though when there are certain players on the pitch, like Dan Juma, flair players like that. But even with Roro today, I just didn't feel it. And on about 70 minutes, part of me just thought, well, is it really worth watching these final stages? Because we all know what's going to happen.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. Sam, are you a mind reader or something? I was just about to talk about Jefferson's Lerma shot. It was miles outside the stadium, and how he's done quite well. I think Chris Temple mentioned 300. He must have hit it at like 300 miles per hour to get it out of the stadium. It was a phenomenal effort to get it out of the ground, to be fair. But no, as Kirk was saying, I think a minute ago, Big Solanke he's been doing very, very well, and we've been very critical of Dom Solanke. He's not going to be that 30 goals a season. However, he looked quite isolated.
Who said 30?
I know, I'm sure we spoke about it several times, but people have. But in terms of the creativity, Solanke needs to be Brooksy and Junior Stanislas didn't feed off Solanke, so it made it very difficult. And then Solanke didn't have a lot of service, so I reckon if he started with Surridge up top, it would have been a completely different game, and I reckon we might have come away with something more than a point today. As Kirk said, it might come back to bite us on the arse later, but it's a learning curve for maybe JT, because he's still learning as a manager, and maybe he just needs to have a little over the next few days. He's got a few days before the Millwall game, maybe give his players a couple of days off and just look over a few things and maybe work out his best formation, but not maybe always stick with it. Although consistency's good, we get found out too easy, and then that's where we can't break teams stand in the final third.
Morgan, brilliant to have you on. Thanks very much. We're going to rotate it around. Cheers. Thank you very much. That's Morgan Scott there. And John Spark is with us as well. Familiar face to the pod. John, how are you?
I'm probably about as flat as everyone else is at the moment, to be honest. That first half is the most forgettable half of football I think I've seen in a long time. I think I can remember 2 things that happened in it. I'm really not sure what else happened apart from a Begovic save and a Stanislas shot, and that's about all I can remember from that half. It was very frustrating just how ineffective we were, just at pretty much the entire game. I mean, the only positives I can really take out of that are Begovic again. keeping us in the game. He's still performing brilliantly. Jack Simpson is a name I haven't heard yet, who I think is the only person that didn't really put a foot wrong, apart from the one time where Lerma got a yellow card result. And the other thing is that Watford lost today. That's the only other positive I can really take, which means we keep at least a cushion in second place. I think, given that we can still put in performances like that, I think we've got to sort of look at Norwich as a team that we just don't need to worry too much about Norwich and just make sure that we can maintain our position in second for now. Regarding changes, I'm glad that JT did change things and he didn't wait too long in the second half to make the change. But Kelly was incredibly frustrating for me. Yeah. Because as soon as Rico was brought on, he had someone to pass to on the left-hand side. And every time it came to him, he turned backwards. Every single time. And it was I found myself shouting at the screen towards the end of that match. Yeah. Because it was, at least with Cook, when it got to him, he played it forward. But Kelly always received the ball, turned back, and passed it back to Simpson. And we just got nothing going on that side. So bringing Rico on was meant to provide a sort of push down that side. And we got nothing until the last 5 minutes, really. So Smith did nothing, basically all game. Did a job defensively, I suppose. But even then, the best Luton chances, I felt, came down that side. Kelly, for one thing, was strong defensively. Smith, I felt, was very weak defensively and didn't provide much going forward as well. It wasn't from him for a while, and just no cohesion up front. The ball, even when Surridge came on, there were 2 balls over the top, neither of which was successful because they were met by Luton Town header. I'm not saying much about Luton because I'm obviously going to focus more on how Bournemouth did, but they obviously pulled off a game plan to a T. If anyone was going to score, it was going to be Luton, and in the end, arguably, we could have given a penalty away right towards the end. Personally, I don't think it was. I think it was Cook being very clever and providing just that little hand just to make sure there was a bit of pressure. The striker went down quite easily, but it wasn't an enjoyable game. If the Wickham game was anything like that, I'm glad I missed that one as well. But at least we got 3 points from that game.
Brilliant. Yeah, I completely agree. We're going to actually cut this free-for-all fairly short this week because there's not many people waiting to come in. And you know what? I think that probably just shows how much of a poor sort of match it was, and there's not much enthusiasm one can muster out of that. But we are still second. We did manufacture some chances, but I just found as though it was almost like, say you got your 3 banks, your defenders and midfielders and attackers. I thought when we broke out of that first third, we were quite good. So there was quite a lot of, talking between those guys. But as soon as it reached, Solanke up front, Junior Stanislas, David Brooks, whose touch I think was poor, it just all went to pot. And, maybe it's just one of those games that, Kurt, we just need to, take it on the chin and realise, actually, we came away with a point against a side that are going to be pretty decent and hard to play against this season. Let's just move on and hopefully batter Millwall on Boxing Day.
Yeah, I mean, they are hit and miss. They have had hit and miss form all season, really. They have beaten teams like Norwich, and then they've lost to teams that you probably expect them to get something. I mean, there's a couple of things I'd probably like to ask Sam before, obviously, you do sort of call this short. There's a couple of things in regards to, I'm half thinking whether JT really does know that playing 2 up top is the way forward. Yeah. The problem with playing 2 up top is it limits him to a couple of formations. And those couple of formations doesn't fit, in my opinion, for certain personnel that we have. So you're looking at 4-4-2. You don't want Danjuma playing in a 4-4-2. Or you're looking at something like a 3-5-2, and you don't want Danjuma won't be a wing back. So I think he does, in my opinion, know that 2 up top is effective and probably going to be one of our best weapons. It's trying to fit certain players like Danjuma and David Brooks, because he's almost had a free role the last couple of games, David Brooks. He's almost sat in front of the centre midfield 3 and just roamed around doing what he wants. The other thing I'd like to say is, not that I'd play him, but is anyone else sort of slightly, being a bit frustrated by the whole Josh King thing? Because JT had an interview yesterday that said there was no fresh injury concerns from Tuesday. Bang. He's not even on the bench. I mean, it's all a bit baffling. I wouldn't even play him. It's not that I'd play him. It's just, what is it all about? Like,
I'm just getting bored of it. I'm just getting bored of it. The sort of you know, it's probably our own. You know, maybe these injury concerns are valid, etc. But you know, either way, I'm just bored of it now. And you know what, I don't even think we need him. And I'd rather not have him. And you know what, if he was included on the bench, it wouldn't have like made me jump for joy, I must admit. But I just think, you know, what's the point in having him? What's the point? And look, there are 2 weeks to go until the transfer window opens. It's probably likely that he'll go. We might as well save him. We wouldn't have wanted him to play and get an injury today. What's the point? John, I don't know what your thoughts are on that. It looks like you might have actually paused. So, Dom, we'll come to you and ask what you think about the Josh King and whether, you know, you'd like him included.
Well, regarding the Josh King situation, I heard that in the transfer window just gone, we actually accepted a bid for him, and we told him to stay in Norway so that he didn't come pre-season. He didn't get injured. So we had a bid that was placed in, and it fell through in the final few days of the transfer window, which is what I heard. I think it was around about 17 million upwards for him. So it was a club who really wanted him, but the deal just didn't go through. That's what I've heard. So I reckon he is at the moment just saving him for that transfer window. He's a valuable player to a lot of other teams. I just don't think he fits the Bournemouth way anymore. So yeah,
if he doesn't play again, and he does leave in January, what's going to be your sort of overall thoughts? You know, it's not quite Ryan Fraser-esque, is it? It's it still feels a little bit sour, but nowhere near wee man levels.
yeah, it's a tough one because Josh King's been a very loyal player to us, and he does bag goals for us. It's you can see it. He's a consistent player, but could we use that money to strengthen in places where we're not as strong at the moment? Maybe buy a very consistent wing back or something like that, because you know Rico and Kelly, they're on and off players at the moment. So do we go out and we strengthen in a certain position or buy backup? So it really depends what the Bournemouth club are actually looking for right now.
Interesting. Right. Well, we're going to wrap it up, I think. Although we're going to bring in Filippo before we go. Kirk, any final thoughts?
No, we didn't lose. As I said, 5 unbeaten in 5 clean sheets. I think Lewis Cook, again, is just immense. I mean, some of the defensive positions he picked up to drop, you know, to pick up balls coming into the box, and his aggression, his passion, his drive. I just wish maybe maybe 9 other players had the same drive as him today, and we might have got away with a 1-0 and probably alluded to it again. We just don't really, apart from Tuesday, we don't seem to scrap 1-0s or 2-0s. We just either batter teams or we get ourselves, you know, a draw. So we got over the line the other night, probably a helping hand from a sending off. But we need to try and win these games where we are struggling to break teams down, or they're just very good at doing what they do. So yeah, but you know, I'm comfortable at home at Millwall. Going to Millwall, we should be all right beating Millwall at home. Fingers crossed
We will do. Right. I'm going to bring in Filippo next. Kirk, thank you very much, and very happy Christmas to you. I'm sure we'll be catching up, I'm sure, but there'll be a big video dropping next week, won't there, with you scored a few goals, I'm sure.
Definitely, I can't wait. Maybe the series has been equaled.
Yeah, maybe. We'll have to see. Nice one. See you later, Kirk. Nice one.
Cheers. Bye.
Take care, and cheers, Dom, for coming on. Much appreciated.
It's all right, mate.
Nice one. Thank you very much. Now, before we bring in the Italian legend, the self-proclaimed Italian legend, thank you for all your support on Back of the Net this year. Whether there'll be free-for-alls over Christmas, we're just kind of working it out in terms of personnel. We probably will have one on Boxing Day. Maybe not with me, but we're certainly going to have them. If you can give a Christmas present to us, that would be to like this video if you're watching on YouTube now, because that really helps. We're not asking for coffees. If you want to donate, you can. So I want to say thank you for all your support this year on Back of the Net. We'll be bringing out a sort of compilation video at the end. It's been a bit of a weird one. Relegation from the Premier League, the loss of Eddie, this whole coronavirus thing. But then we managed to do loads of interviews, and it's a silver lining that sort of, you know, came out of a horrible situation, really. And now we're doing these every week, and we just can't wait to get back to the ground. And hopefully, if Bournemouth stays in Tier 2, we'd be able to. But, you know, goodness knows what's happening at the moment. I think it's time for the Italian Legend. Filippo, how are you, buddy? You all
Hi,
right?
Sam. Hi, Sam.
Mate, it's nice to see someone bring a bit of energy to the show, and that is you. But it was a boring match, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, so that was boring, and I nearly fell asleep. I had to be honest. I have to be honest because
Yeah, you and me both.
yeah, because the only chances were created by Luton players. So cheers to Luton because they played a good game, but another time. We struggle on when we play matches against teams from the other side of the table. So I know the season is long, but we have to make points from those teams because I think we cannot drop anymore because that could be a problem in the future games. So today there are still positive things because another clean sheet. We are still second in the table, but we could go 4 point here from Swansea because it's the only team who won today. I saw because so still 2 points dropped for me.
Yeah, I agree. Lots of people are loving the fact that you're here, Filippo. And yeah, I mean, I do sort of feel as though it is 2 points dropped, but it's one of the you know what? I'm just glad that match is over, really, because I thought it was just really dull. And in every season, we'll always have a few games like that are just absolutely awful to watch. And you know what? I know Norwich are on a really good run of form at the moment. In fact, what we're going to do is just take a quick look at the table. And yeah, you know, they're in a very good
5
position
points
at the
clear.
moment. 5 points clear, exactly. And I mean, look at that. They are doing very well.
Well,
5 wins in a row in the league.
yeah,
But,
you know.
we're holding our own, aren't we, in second place?
Yeah, you know, Sam, it seems that their season started when we've beaten them at the Vitality on match day 3. I think it was back in September. So it's incredible. For me, it's a bit a shame not to be on top of the table when we've beaten them. But you know, that's the championship. That's the championship. It's how it goes. So
Yeah, and
that is
that's very true. And as Rob says on chat, it is a marathon and not a sprint, and we need to remember that. And you know what, the players were tired today, and that's why I thought it might have been a good time to mix it up. But JT, thought otherwise, and I just, with players like Dan Juma that can come back to add that bit of unpredictability. The game was crying out for someone like him, wasn't it? Someone to be marauding down the wing and just taking on players, but we didn't have a single player that seemed to want to do that today. Everyone was just shattered. And, for one, I'm glad that the players are getting a break now, because it's been, the players have done brilliant for us. Our points return, I think, is pretty much okay. We've got 38 points out of 20 games. It's not bad at all. And, the good signs are there. The good signs, and we've not really hit top gear yet, have we?
Yes, we remember that the team played 20 games in a space of 3 months. 3 months, sorry. Yeah, that's a particular season for the whole football championships, but especially for the championship, because it's 46 games and it started in September. It's gonna end on May 8th. So when every other championship is going to finish on, for example, Serie A is finishing on May 23rd. So, but championship has to play the playoff. So, and then there's the Euro 2020, which is in 2021. But anyway, it's 2020. So it's a marathon. it's a marathon. We have they say that at the start of the campaign they are 13 midweek matches. Is it? Yeah,
yeah. There's a
it
lot.
is.
There's a lot, and it's you know what? We're lucky not to have as many injuries as we've got. Really, we've got a pretty good squad. That most players are not injured. It'd be nice to see players like Chris Mepham coming back in as well. Jack Stacey at some point next year too, and yeah, you know what? I'm not going to be unhappy on Christmas Day when I think about the football, put it that way. We're in the automatic promotion positions. We are 2 points ahead of Swansea. We've played a lot of the teams that are going to be challenging this season. We've not lost against them. The future is bright. It's going to just take a sustained effort, throughout the rest of Christmas and next year. And you never know. You never know where Bournemouth can end up. But for now, Filippo, we're probably going to end the show. Thank you so much for coming on. I think it'd be rude for you to leave us without saying your catchphrase.
Yes, I wanted also to say that I wish you everybody a Merry Christmas, stay safe, and up the cherries.
Up the cherries, Filippo. Thank you very much.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Buon Natale. Buon Natale a tutti.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, Filippo. Live from Italy. Thank you so much for everyone that's got involved. Short show tonight, but that's because we watched what we saw earlier and it wasn't particularly great, was it? Once again, thank you for your support for Back of the Net this year. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already. Lots of different content is going to be on the way over the next couple of weeks to round off what's been a very strange year in football. Today, though, Bournemouth looked leggy against a very determined and well-drilled Hatter side at Kenilworth Road. There's nothing really to suggest that stalemate was ever going to be broken. 0-0, the writing was on the wall. But Bournemouth are second. Not too bad. If you liked this video, hit that thumbs up button. We'd really appreciate it. But for now, I'm sure I'll see you between now and then. Merry Christmas if I don't get the chance to say it before Christmas Day. But yeah, up the cherries. Thank you for watching. The podcast is out tomorrow. No idea what we're going to talk about.